Okay, I've tried it again. Can you tell me if you can hear me? Type 1 if you can hear me, please. Can you type 1, please, if you can hear me? Oh, you can hear me. Good. Okay. Come on. Here he is. There we go. There's Rudy. Look at the camera, Rudy. That's it. That's a good boy. Very good. Wow, there's a lot of you guys. No problem. That's good then. I sorted out what the problem was. I've got a new microphone and the Zoom. I've got a new Zoom has been upgraded, so there's something different there. Unfortunately, Rafi had to go. So it's just going to be Rudy and I for a few minutes so you guys can see him. He's yeah, he's doing well. I've got his bed here next to me. So we're going to talk about the what's the title again for the live stream? It's the dollar empire won't go quietly. Yeah, I think that's a little bit worrying, really, to tell you the truth. But I'm going to try to send Rafi a new invitation because it should be working now. So here's Rudy. Rudy, thanks for showing up. He's going to go back to bed now. Oh, there you go, boy. So we've got Pablo Pina, Michael Biggins, Echo, nice to see Echo, Gianfranco, Bergania, nice to see you, Rooster, Lee Hollins. Where in the UK are you? I'm in Greater London, Southeast London. Yeah, he's a Shih Tzu, Tim. I'm going to talk a little bit about the price of Shih Tzu versus gold, the Shih Tzu to gold ratio a little bit. It's quite interesting. Yeah, we do miss Billy a lot, but that's the way life goes, and he's a wonderful little puppy already. We picked him up yesterday. He cried a little bit in the car on the way home, but he's been pretty good. Ana Moura from Brazil. Nice to see someone from Brazil. Let's bring him up a little bit longer. Come on, Rudy. Come and say hello again to everyone. There you go. There he is again. There's Rudy. Rudy the Silver Ranger. So he was born on the 1st of December. So he's about 9 weeks. I've had to transfer the ownership with the Kennel Club from the breeder to me, yes, and my wife. We've transferred the chip. He's microchipped. I'm okay with microchips for pets, but not for humans. So there you go. He's a cute little guy. So anyway, let's get back to business, Rudy. The breeder, yeah, the breeder is registered with the UK Kennel Club. I think she's had 3 litters with the same dog, but now she's stopping. They don't like them to have too many. Quite local, actually. So I just found it through the website. So, oh yeah, and H, the promo code with Miles Franklin, I should change it to Rudy, or just leave Monaco 64. Yeah. Oh yeah, Boris Perez. I did watch Rafi with Cliff High. That was I thought they were going to talk about silver. The conversation was way out there, but interesting. I have been following, well, I used to follow Cliff High's Alter reports um, many years ago. I think 2007, 2008. So there you go. Rudy coins. Rudy needs a chair for the stream. The problem, yeah, unfortunately, Billy passed. The problem with leaving Rudy there right now is that he's too young. He might want to jump and he might hurt himself. Eventually, someone, I made a video this morning. Someone said Billy will be on the sofa by 2035. Hopefully, that will be earlier than 2035. What happened to Billy? Well, he was 14 and a half. And he basically, yeah, the last couple of weeks, up until two weeks before, he was okay, but his heart just went, couldn't breathe anymore, wouldn't eat, and unfortunately, he passed on, Billy. No, Rudy was a lot more than 300 pounds. So, Mayday missed Rudy. Well, let's bring Rudy back on. Son of you missed. Come on, Rudy. There you go. They want you back on. I had to restart the live stream. I had a problem with the volume, so I restarted it. I'm sorry about that. There you go, Rudy. Say hello to everyone. That's how big he is. He looks big, but he's quite fluffy. It's a lot of fluff. There he is. Billy left a map of his silver bones buried in the garden. Yeah, he can't go in the garden yet. He needs his second shots. So maybe in 2-3 weeks, he might be able to go out in the garden. He's still in the house. Rockmon, what part of Italy do you come from? Well, I have Italian passport, but I was born in Brazil. But on my dad's side, the family came from Naples. My great grandfather. So, but I'm in the UK at the moment, or have been here for 30 years. Rudy, we'll come to Rudy's price and the Shih Tzu to gold gold ratio in a minute. So I guess this is going to run for a while now till 10 o'clock. So we got plenty of time just to wait for people to come on. Rudy looks like an Austrian School of Economics type. Yeah, he is. Yeah, there we go, Rudy. People like you. Kristen Rowe says you sound like New Jersey. Probably because I went to university in Florida and for 2.5 years before I went to live in Switzerland and finish university there. And a lot of my friends at university were from the Northeast, a lot of them from New Jersey, Massachusetts, from the Northeast. So maybe I caught a little bit of their accent. Yeah, Gizmo. They do look like Ewoks a little bit, Shih Tzus. So let me try to send Rafi another invitation. Let me see if I can do that. Copy invitation. I'm going to send him an email. Okay, I've sent him an invitation. If he sees it, he'll come on. So there you go. So how many people have we got on now? Oh, not bad. 450. I kind of screwed up with the volume the first go, but yeah, what I wanted to talk about aside from showing you Rudy, of course, is the about the American the title of the live stream, which is "The Dollar Empire Won't Go Quietly," and so we're gonna have to go back. Let's have a look here. Yeah, let's go back to 2021, and let's see here. Share screen. So the withdrawal of US troops from Afghanistan, and it happened, of course, on August 15th, 2021, which is kind of interesting because it was the 50th anniversary of when Nixon closed the gold window and the US dollar became a I owe you nothing or a fiat currency. Was the first time in recorded history that the major reserve currency was not backed by gold. So I thought that was significant. And what this triggered as well is a response from the Saudis, which came almost straight away because the Saudis saw that the United States was not going to protect Afghanistan anymore. So look at that. Less than 2 weeks later, August 24th, 2021, the Saudis signed military cooperation agreement with Russia. That was August 2021. And I think that was very significant. We knew, of course, that prior to that, the Russians, the Chinese, and Indians had been buying a lot of gold. They've been talking even about having their own currency, not being dependent on the petrodollar and all the sanctions. But this was very significant when the Saudis signed this cooperation agreement with Russia. I think that triggered quite a bit of alarm with the neocons in Washington, D.C. And this is why I think they provoked the Russians in the Ukraine, and that's why I'm saying that they won't go quietly. The empire, the dollar empire, but I think the dollar empire will go because, frankly, ever since 1971, the fact that the dollar has been a fiat currency is not a good thing. And this is just going to accelerate. So what else have we had that is going to make the empire try even harder to stop what's going on? Well, it was, and this was another interesting date. This is when President Xi Jinping went to Riyadh and attended the first China Arab States Summit and the China GCC Summit, and paid a visit paid a state visit to Saudi Arabia. And another interesting date, December 7th. Why? Well, that was Pearl Harbor, the Pearl Harbor date. And I think this has triggered and alarmed the neocons even more. And I think they're desperate. And coupled with what's going on, let's see if Rafi has come back. He hasn't come back, so I haven't got Libor reset in June over here is asking. Yeah, I haven't really looked into this Libor reset. They've been working. Libor is just a reference rate, the London interbank offered rate, which is what the too big to fail banks in London, that's how much they lend to each other, usually overnight or a month or 3 months. And they use, that's called the London Interbank Offered Rate. There's also the Libid, which is the opposite of the offer London Interbank Bid Rate. And all this is that the central bankers, especially the Bank of England and probably the Fed during the 2008 crisis, they asked these too big to fail banks in London to manipulate the Libor rate, and it lost a lot of credibility. It's just like using, deciding to use feet instead of meters and centimeters instead of inches. And the problem with it is that the Libor was the reference rate and still probably is for hundreds of trillions of loans, mortgages all around the world. And switching over is tricky. And it's not like by decree, the bankers are asked to do it. Basel III, which is instituted by the Bank for International Settlements, they're the ones who have asked the too big to fail to change. Yeah, and people are using Sonia is the sterling overnight rate because you had not just Libor for dollars, which is the euro dollar, but you had Libor for sterling, Libor for Deutschmarks. It became euros. There's Libor for all kinds of currencies in London, and yeah, so that's what's happened. The problem with changing over is that it could cause a lot of volatility within the derivatives market. The derivatives market also uses Libor as a reference rate. And in the US, they've changed it to the SOFR, which is the US rate. Manfred Van Doorn, if they're going to try a new peg to gold or commodity, is that not a repetition of history? Well, of course, it would. Going back to gold is just going back to real money. That's all it is, because fiat currencies are a substitute for money. But there's nothing wrong with gold. Gold has performed perfectly its function of a store of value, store of wealth. It holds its value as well. It also functions perfectly as a currency. Even Greenspan said that in times of extremis, like in times of war and mayhem, only gold is accepted as payment. And what's happened is that the politicians destroyed the gold standard and the bankers as well. World War I, World War II. Yeah, it's not gold. The gold is not the problem. The problem is when politicians and bankers want to fight these wars. If we are under sound money, we wouldn't be able to have endless wars to finance. We'd have to resort to taxation because gold is limited. But in a fiat currency system, you can create these the fiat currency out of thin air. So I think it would be a good thing to, but the people have to demand sound money because people have no idea what sound money or real money is. So I'm afraid it's something fringe. Like here, we know what it is, and we're trying to, that's what we're trying to expose, this system, fiat currency, trying to tell people that there's something better and that our forefathers had gold and silver, and that was real money. What we have today is not money. It's like, as Rafi Faber would say, it's a money substitute. It's a piece of paper. Hannah, I did not hear about the a cyber incident delaying the CFTC commitment of traders report. That sounds a bit like an excuse not to publish it more than anything. So that's an interesting development there. Manfred Van Dorn, I don't think Bitcoin, it could be sound money. I'm not saying it couldn't, but gold and silver have thousands of years of history. I have here a coin from Alexander of Macedonia, or Alexander the Great, from almost 2,500 years ago, and it was money then. It's money now. It's valuable now, but Bitcoin unfortunately doesn't have much of a track record. So, yeah, you might want to have some Bitcoin, but I, I wouldn't discount gold and silver. Oh, let's look at the Shih Tzu gold ratio. I did something for you guys, and I don't mind telling you how much I paid for Rudy, because you can check it and find out anyway. So here we go. The Shih Tzu to gold ratio in pounds sterling. So Billy, who's Billy the first? Well, he was the Billy we had before Billy Bullion, and he was born in 1995. We bought him in 1995, and he cost 280 pounds. And the price of gold in 1995 was around 250 pounds per troy ounce. So he cost 1.12 troy ounces of gold. That's what I paid. My wife and I paid for Billy the First. My wife and I got married in 1993. So there you go. And then Billy the Second, we got him in September 2008. He was born in July. He costs 250 pounds, and there's an asterisk here. And why did I put that there? Well, because we bought him in September, right in the middle of the credit crunch. The economy was in a deep recession. The real estate had collapsed. The breeder was asking for 450 pounds, actually. But unfortunately, the breeder's wife died like a month before the puppies were born. He had 3 or 4 kids that he had to look after. He had all the vet's bills for the puppies. He had sold all the puppies except for Billy. And he said, you can have him for 250 because I need the money. I can't afford to keep him anymore. He had a few other dogs. So I would have said this was like a special situation. That's why I put the asterisks. But he was asking for 450. And the price of gold in September 2008 was 450. But be as it may, yeah, Billy Bullion was good value in terms of gold, only 0.55 troy ounces for him. So now we get to Rudy. We picked him up yesterday. I did pay a deposit of 300 pounds, but I paid the 1,000 yesterday. So he cost 1,300. Price of gold, I got to correct this here. On February 3rd, which was Friday, was around 1555. So yeah, Rudy cost less than the first Billy, actually, in terms of real money, 0.836 troy ounces. And how do I find these prices? Well, the best place to go, I know it's the LBMA, but they've got daily prices for gold, except for the weekends and holidays, going back to 1968. So you can check anything you want, lbma.org. It could be lbma.org.uk. And this is the interesting part. The breeder is very nice. We saw her a few times before we picked up Rudy. And she told us that in the aftermath of COVID and lockdowns, she sold puppies for 2,200. I'm not sure when it was. I assume it's somewhere in mid to late 2021 or early 22. And gold was around 1,400. So that was probably the worst time to buy a puppy in terms of real money value. Did I do this because I wanted to know whether I was going to buy a puppy? No, I couldn't. I really didn't do it because Rudy was good value. No, we bought Rudy because yeah, we love dogs, and we loved Rudy in particular. So there you go. That's the Shih Tzu to gold ratio. You can do that. You can do that with anything, really. If you go on the, let me get the website for you guys. So it has it in dollars, the LBMA fixings, dollars, pounds, and euros. So let's have a look here. LBMA, precious metals, price. Okay, there you go. And it's got a table and it's got charts. Let's have a look at the year. Yeah, 1968. It goes all the way back to 1968. So I'll put that here on there you go. Yeah. Spark 2024, my cat showed up for free. Yeah, that is possible. My sister in Switzerland, her cat showed up like when my niece was a teenager. She showed up on the streets, and she took her home, and she's still there. The cat, or his name is Mulligan. I think he must be about 16. He didn't cost. Palidan, no, he was not made in China. James Hafford, because US coins have a face value in dollars, is it possible to use that for taxes if you buy a car for 10 gold eagles? State sales was for 500 pounds. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Yeah, I would check that with your accountant if you can do that. It makes sense. You know, there's a story of the 1933 double eagle. They I think the US Treasury was after that because it was stolen from the Philadelphia Mint. And eventually back in 2008, there's a London coin dealer who bought that for $8 million. But there was, I think, Secret Service people that went up to him and said, you need to pay us $20 for that coin because it was stolen. So he didn't pay. That's all the Treasury wanted was $20 to balance the books. But I would definitely check with your accountant or lawyer on that question. Yeah, Britannia's I think £5. I'm not sure. Sovereigns are £1. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. The legal tender value of a sovereign is £1. A Britannia, I'm not sure. Is it 5? I think the legal tender. There are some people who use that to their advantage here in the UK, but you need to be careful because the taxman can always come after you. What did I want to talk about? Oh yeah, sovereigns. Yeah, we saw, of course, on Thursday and Friday that they went after gold and silver quite hard. But one thing I noticed, for example, with Atkinson's, they're actually paying 2%. I'll show you 2% over spot for sovereigns. So they're paying the spot for an ounce of gold. That's where gold closed in pounds. But if you take 371.6 and you divide it by 0.2354, you get about 580 1,580, sorry, 1 ounce equivalent for sovereign. So it looks like there's a shortage of sovereigns, and Atkinson's is paying like 2% over spot equivalent. So the way to calculate the spot, of course, is to divide this price by 0.2354, and you'll see what I mean. And why are there shortages for sovereigns? Well, because I think a lot of Britons are realizing, let's see, the 1 ounce Britannia. Yeah, oh yeah, you're right. That's £100 face value, the 1 ounce. He was right, James. But what I think is happening in the UK is that the reason people are wanting to buy not just sovereigns but Britannias is that from April this year, the capital gains tax threshold is going to be halved from 12,300 to I think 6,000, and then from April 2024. The capital gains tax threshold is going from 6 to 3, and there is no capital gains tax on sovereigns or Britannia's, any coins of the realm in the UK, and I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing people buying sovereigns and Britannias, because they realize that there's no capital gains for it. Yeah, RB, I'll just check that as 100. Over here, I did speak about the Libor reset in June. It could be an issue. It might not be an issue because the banks and the bankers and the traders, they've had a long time to fix it, to switch over. But it could be, because as I said, hundreds of trillions of derivatives are they were issued, especially over-the-counter derivatives, with Libor as a reference. So yeah, it could cause a problem. Yeah, and that's why it doesn't really matter. Well, it does matter, but maybe hopefully not for you, because you have plenty of you'll be your own central banker, and that's what I keep trying to tell people to be, by having a physical gold and silver outside the system. Michael O'Toole, you could have bought every dog in China for the price you paid for that dog, and one with a wagging tail. Well, I'm not in China, so there you go. That's what I say about that. Ant H says, I still worry about gold confiscation. Are you in the US? If you are, I mean, I recommend you speak to ITM Trading, because they can help you with that if you're concerned about that. By the way, I'm going to be interviewing Lynette soon, Lynette Zhang from ITM Trading, here on this channel. Andrew Bevan, sovereigns are 22 carats. Yeah, because it's a bullion coin. It's a circulating coin. Most circulating coins are not 24 karat. And that's the other reason why I prefer sovereigns to Britannia's, to be honest. Or yeah, I prefer the 22 karat coins. Echo, are you ready to buy coins with Charles effigy? I don't really care who's on the coin as long as it's gold, so that's the thing. I saw that the Australians, they're going to take the monarch off their banknotes, so Charles will not be on the Australian banknotes. Yes, James, there are times when you can do that in the UK. Yeah, I've heard of people doing that, but you need to be very careful when you do that. Oh, Joshua Porter asking about the balloon. Uh, yeah, I think it was, personally, I think it was like a weather balloon that went off course because of the wind. Um, apparently it went over into North America through the Aleutian Islands, which is like Alaska. So if it was a spy balloon, the American Air Force should have shot it down in Alaska. There isn't much. Alaska's quite sparsely populated. There wouldn't have been a problem shooting it down, but they didn't. And then it actually went into Canada and went south into, I think, Idaho and then Montana. And yeah, and apparently even the Pentagon said that China has better ways to spy than using a weather balloon. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on. Some people argue that the reason that came up, the story about the balloon, was because there were powers within the U.S. System that didn't want Blinken to go to China to visit Xi Jinping because they didn't want rapprochement, or maybe it was just an honest mistake. And I don't know, but I think they're making a big deal out of it. And I think this is part of this, also the title of my live stream. The dollar empire won't go quietly. I think there are people within the deep state, they might not be aligned to the administration, that didn't want Blinken to go to China, and they made this silly story up about a weather balloon. So I don't know. And we'll probably never know. Alan P says he's got cousins in Alaska. Carlos Garcia thinks it's a distraction. Probably, like I said, we need to keep our our eyes on the ball, on the this is what I try to focus on here, on the monetary side of things. I don't think things are going to improve. Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about, there's a lot of people talking about the fact that inflation or prices have peaked. And I subscribe to the Daily Telegraph web um, online here in the UK. It's a fairly conservative paper. And I picked that paper because there's interesting stories there. And you got to know what the mainstream's thinking. Sometimes I subscribe to the FT as well. And I can tell you, because I went through my bank deep, my direct debits. Uh, about a year ago, 7th of February, I was paying £8.67 a month for that subscription. And then last year they changed it to $12.99. And I thought, okay, it's gone up a bit. It's okay though. But today, I think yesterday I got a letter saying that from the 3rd of March, it's going to $19.99. So it's going to be up 130%. The online subscription to the Telegraph from the 3rd of March. Yeah, and I'm not too sure I'll continue that subscription, even though there are some interesting stories coming out in there. So much for inflation peaking. I think it's a pipe dream, and there won't be any peak in inflation. Chris Conman, thank you for your super chat. With Saudi Arabia announcing at WF that they will start accepting other currencies payment, when will this start affecting the US's world reserve status? Thanks. It will start. It's already doing so, Chris. It will be gradual. It will be, if you go back to like the post-World War II era, sterling was still a fairly important reserve currency. It still is today. I think about 3 to 5% of world reserves are held in sterling, but it took a while. I would say by the end of this decade, yeah, the dollar will be a lot less widely held currency. And I think I gave an example earlier in this. Oh, yeah. Or maybe I haven't talked about this one yet, and this is quite an important story. This here, Chris. There you go. This is from Reuters. Yeah, I got it from Reuters under archive.ph. Indian refiners pay traders in dirhams for Russian oil. So there you go. Indian refiners have begun paying for most of their Russian oil purchased via Dubai-based traders in United Arab Emirates dirhams instead of US dollars. Four sources with knowledge of the matter said, while Western sanctions. So there you go. So what you said there about Saudi Arabia, yeah, it's starting already. I don't think UAE is going to be too different from Saudi Arabia. And we also saw that in the beginning of December, we saw Xi Jinping go there to Saudi Arabia and meet not just the Saudis, but he met the other Gulf cooperation community leaders and basically drew up the petro yuan. Another interesting story I wanted to show you guys is this one here. And this is not about the Russian government. This is about the public in Russia. They bought a record number of gold. They say gold bars in 2022. So there you go. It's not just the government. They bought, I think, 50 tons, which is basically a sixth of the gold that the UK has reserves. Excuse me. Russians bought an all-time record number of gold bars. Finance Ministry data showed on Friday as tax cuts on precious metals encouraged people to stock up on bullion as a safe asset. Moscow scrapped its 20% VAT on physical gold trades for individuals last March in a bid to draw people away from using the US dollar as a safe haven. Also exempted people from paying income tax on profits. So I think this is going to continue. And I think other countries are going to be encouraging the public. China had already been encouraged the public to buy gold. So there you go. They bought over 50 tons of gold bars in 2022, 10 times more than the year before. And it's interesting that this was up until the end of November, so it might be even more. So I thought that was an interesting story to show you guys. Joshua Porter, a bone for Rudy. Oh, thank you, Joshua, for your super chat. Super Dweeb from Payson, Arizona. Zimbabwe are using dollars. Well, they're also using their own gold coin, but it looks like the IMF is not happy with, with them using gold. David Bell, yeah, gold bars are liable to capital gains tax in the UK. But yeah, the only thing that isn't are coins of the realm. So sovereigns, half sovereigns, quarter sovereigns, Britannias, half Britannias, but gold bars are. Hannah says, around me, nobody's stacking gold or silver. or silver or gold, they all seem to think things are normal. I know that, and you can only do so much. You can only warn people so much, and if they want to listen, they'll listen or do their study. If they agree with me or you, they might decide to do it, but you can't force them. There's only so much you can do, unfortunately. Thoughts altogether now, thoughts on hyperinflation possibility. I think it's very possible. I think we will end up with hyperinflation because our political class, our central bankers, they're not really tough. And also the the general public, they like the inflation. Yeah, so I think it will end up in hyperinflation, and it's difficult to say when, but I think we're very close. And hyperinflation's got nothing to do with the normal price rises that we're seeing. It's when the general public realizes that the price rises are not going to stop, and they try to get rid of their fiat currency as quickly as possible for anything, really. We're not there yet, but I think it's possible, and I think 2023 is going to be an important year. And why is that? Well, because a lot of the central bankers and the politicians, they're saying that inflation or CPI is going to go down, and everything by next year, everything will be fine. Bank of England is saying we're going to be below 2% next year, and I think they're going to be proven wrong. I'll just show you guys here. I'm going to take the camera, and you'll see where Rudy is. There he is. He's fast asleep. Carlos says hyperinflation is technically 50% a month or 60% a year. I don't think it matters the percentage. Hyperinflation is when the currency basically doesn't buy anything anymore. It's what they have, in not Bolivia, but Venezuela, and they had in Zimbabwe. It doesn't really matter the percentage. And can we really trust these indices that they use? No. And I gave you the example of the subscription for the online telegraph going up 130% in the last 12 months. I mean, that's getting into hyperinflation land, but it has to be a much broader. It's not just online subscriptions that will go up. Everything is the currency just goes down the drain, and I think that's why the powers that be, the central bankers, try to control the gold price. And maybe Russia, China, and the BRICS nations declaring some kind of gold backing for their currencies could be the trigger for the hyperinflation, because if we're going to see hyperinflation in the dollar and the other major currencies, it's going to be versus gold and silver. I agree with Ant. 10%. That's not even the inflation rate. That's the CPI, and I think they've already doctored with the CPI in the last year. The RPI is like 13%, but like you said, everyone has different. Someone who's a multimillionaire, a billionaire, doesn't care about food or rent going up. So, but the people that it hurts the most are people on low income and people on fixed income, pensioners. No, over here. He's not sitting there. He's here in his bed. I just showed you with the camera. So I'm not going to pick him up again. I picked him up earlier in the live stream because he's asleep. I don't want to wake him up. Yeah, Rudy does have his bed. Andrew Bevan, I wouldn't call it food inflation. I would call it food prices going up. Inflation is not a food thing. Inflation is a currency thing. It's the currency the currency supply is being inflated. So the more supply of currency that there is, and if the supply of food doesn't go up, the prices of food go up because there's more. It's like, if Apple were to come out and issue 5 billion new shares of Apple, the shares of Apple would drop. So, so it's not food inflation, it's food prices, I would say. Chuck Mung, thank you for your super chat. I just bought 10 sovereigns, beautiful coins, regards from Wyoming. Yeah, there's an interesting story about the sovereigns, is that I'm not sure if they still use it, but even during the Vietnam War or World War II, American fighter pilots, they carried sovereigns with them in case they were shot over enemy territory, because sovereigns are really widely recognized the world over. And it's been around for almost 200 years, the gold sovereign. LLGX2, excuse me, thank you for your super chat. Do you think we'll see collapse, deflation first, as predicted by the likes of Jeff Snyder? Does inflation keep increasing from now on? It's possible that you could have a collapse, like Jeff Snyder is saying, many other people. And that I would argue that we've had deflation since about spring last year, because M2 has been going negative. So I think we could get on the brink of some kind of collapse, but then the central bankers and the governments would step in. So I don't think we're going to see deflation. We saw the Bank of England stepped in October when the defined benefit pension system almost went into almost disappeared out of thin air. So I think we're not going to get where we're getting deflation right now. If you look at if you define deflation as the shrinking of the money supply, we're getting that. But I don't think they will allow a collapse, because too many people depend on the state, on the currency, on like the welfare state, not just in the US, in the UK, in Europe. And if they let everything collapse, it will be, there will be like it will be a Mad Max world. Not even the police or the armed forces will be able to keep the rule of law. They won't be able to pay people to keep the rule of law. So I think they'd rather have the they'll rather inflate, and unfortunately the hyperinflation could lead to the same kind of scenario. So whatever happens, I think you want to have some stuff outside the system, as I've said many times. Belly dance Arabia, egg smuggling, about to get real. Yeah, my wife bought some eggs. She said it is a little bit, she can't find as many kinds of eggs. And when she went the last time shopping, she had to buy 2 boxes of 6. She couldn't find a box of a dozen eggs. And I think they were about I think she paid about £3.50 for a dozen. I think in the US, you guys are paying even more. So there you go. Boy, he's back. He's back. There you go. There you go, boy. He's on the desk right now. $6.29 for a car and eggs, organic, $62.29. Carton of eggs, $6.29 organic. Yeah, there he is. Come on, Rudy. There you go. SAS Finance, there was one carton left last time, $5.99 per dozen. P on the keyboard. No, he hasn't. But his little P's are quite small. It wouldn't matter really. We got a lot of wee pads around the house. He's done some on the pad, but also on the floor. But he's learning. Super Dweep says, nice puppy. Yeah, we had I don't know if you watched the channel for a while. We had a dog. He was a Shih Tzu as well. Billy, he used to lie on the sofa during the videos. He was very popular. Yeah, so he's the new Billy, Rudy. I mean, even if I wasn't doing YouTube, we would have gotten another puppy, right? Rudy. Rudy. Okay, put you back in bed. There you go, boy. Matt Binder, maybe it's time to get chickens to get your. I think the egg prices are still reasonable here, for us. I don't think it would be worth to get chickens, to be honest. But you could be right. I was going over some other costs because, I told you guys how the Telegraph subscription is going up 130% in the last year. And I had a look at prices in February 2019. My utility bill, gas and electricity, was £148.87 a month. And now it's 300. So it's more than doubled. And it would have been even more if the government hadn't done the package. But we're going to pay for that, of course. James Hafford says that he hopes Rudy snores. He's not snoring yet, but he does bark a lot. So you never know. You might get a bit of barking. What else? My council tax was 191 a month in February 2019. Now it's 231. So it's gone up by £40. So that's what about 25%. Yeah. So my mortgage costs didn't move because I don't have one, and I think that's really important. And I've been telling people since I started this channel in late 2015 to try to get out of debt as much as possible, because that helps you keep your costs down when you have rising inflation, rising interest rates. I don't think the rise in interest rates is anywhere near being over. We're going to see decades of rising interest rates. And yeah, so I would be trying to pay off debt, not get in debt. UK, does UK get natural gas from Russia? I think it did indirectly through the European countries, but I don't think we're getting any natural gas from them at the moment. Echo says it's hard. Well, I've done it. It's taken me a while to do it because I had a mortgage in the 90s as well. But yeah, I know it's getting harder. And I think it's one of the things they're trying to keep elevated house prices because our economy depends a lot on the property market. Hi, Mr. B. Nice to see you. One of the moderators. SAS Finance. I had to get my kitchen plumbing fixed last week. $375. Insane. Yeah, that's the other thing here in the UK as well. You try to get anything fixed like that. Well, there's a few problems. First of all, it's hard to get a person that's good, and if you know someone that's good doing that kind of stuff, he'll be usually very busy, and you have to wait. So yeah, it's getting harder and harder to getting this kind of a job done. DIY. I'm not really good at DIY. I'm better off paying someone than trying to do it myself. It'll probably end up costing me more trying to fix something because I know my limitations. I'm better off doing what I do here. So I know there are people who are better at that, and good for them. I wish I was, but I've never been really good at DIY. P.S. Thank you for your super chat. You read the Diary of an Austrian middle-class woman, 1914 to 24. She raises chickens. She did okay. I mean, there's a story about people who, Franz Pick, for example, I have a book written by him. He lived in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. He fought for the Austro-Hungarian Empire during World War I. And his father paid into like some kind of insurance plan or pension, like a pension for him, so that his son, when he was of age, he could go to university. But then you had the hyperinflation. Also, it was not just in Germany, but in Austria. And he said that the money from that payout was worth one nice dinner in Vienna. So it was supposed to pay for his education. Matt Bittner says, if you can find craftsmen who work on the side for cash, it's a lot cheaper than calling a large company. No, yeah, I know someone who is not a large company, and he's really good. And but sometimes they can't do everything for cash because they have to put stuff through the books, or else they'll get into trouble. Pablo Pina says the immaculate jobs data on Friday slammed precious metals prices. Well, I don't think it was just Friday. I think on Thursday, precious metals prices dropped from 1960 during the London hours to, I don't know, 1920 or something. So that they were slammed both days. And this is what I tweeted out about the, I'll show you guys about the jobs data. Well, actually, it was an indirect tweet, basically. showing what I thought about, the jobs data. Where is it? I'll share it with you. So there you go. This was on, February 3rd. So that was on Friday. If the economy is so strong and the labor market so tight, surely tax receipts should be going through the roof. And the government should not be running a 5% plus budget deficit. So I got quite a few likes for me on Twitter, 161. So what I mean by this, if the economy is doing so great, everyone's employed in good jobs, right? They're paying loads of tax. Why have we got a debt ceiling problem? Why have we got, why do they have to spend another 1.7 trillion in that omnibus bill late last year? So yeah, I don't buy that jobs data either. And the economy is not in good shape, and I think that's the right question to ask. Can you imagine if the economy wasn't doing well, how much deficit we would be running, the government? And that's what I'm trying to warn people about. Things are not as great as they tell us. Lord Humongous, I mean the budget deficits. The trade deficit is there too, but what I meant was the budget deficit. SoCal Silver, nice to see you. Brandon, we had a problem with when I started out the live stream earlier on with the volume, and so Rafi left, and then I tried to invite him again, but I don't think he's seen the email. What's happening with the Mike and Mario show? Nothing, Alan Raw. We just I was in Switzerland last week, so I couldn't really do it. I was with family, and then I got back the middle of last week, and he couldn't do it last Friday. So hopefully next Friday we will be able to do it. But there's no problem with the Mike and Mario show. It's just a matter of scheduling. Yeah, I'm going to be interviewing Lynette Zhang soon in the next few days, and I'll publish it here, of course. And I think I'm going to go on her channel as well. Anything else here I wanted to show you guys? Let's have a look. No. Toonie Times, when will the paper manipulation end? What does it take? Well, I think it will take a sovereign country to end the paper manipulation. And what do I mean by that? Well, I think we're close to it. It will take China, Russia, and other non-NATO countries to get away from the dollar because they're concerned for their reserves. And the more physical gold they buy, the harder it becomes for London and New York to manipulate the price of gold to the paper game. But yeah, it will take a nation to do it. And I think that's what Zoltan actually said in his one of his articles like a month or so ago, commodity encumbrance. And he noted that the bullion banks could be in trouble because that paper game will not gel anymore because people will want real physical gold. and also the LBMA, they've cut off a lot of the gold that they used to get from Russia, and that gold is going to China. So that's when I think the paper game will end. Some people think there is no manipulation, but I've noticed it, well, since I started following gold and the gold price back in 02, since I started buying gold, because I was sitting in front of a screen, because I worked in the city as a futures and options broker in government bonds, but I follow gold as well. And every time the COMEX regular hour opening took place, you would see gold go down, silver go down, and it was just like clockwork, and it still is a lot of times. John J says, I'm working on that portrait of Billy for you. Oh, thank you. DD Prepper, have you heard anything about when the Fed's going to launch the Feds? You mean the Fed? Yeah, it's different. The Feds and the Fed. The Fed is the federal government. The Feds are the federal government. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if they're gonna succeed in launching a digital coin, whether it will be parallel to the fiat currency. You know, because we already have digital currency. You know, a lot of times we don't use cash; it's digital. But yeah, so I don't have any idea when they'll try to launch it and whether it will succeed, and hopefully it won't. James Hafford, yeah, Jeff Christian would say that because he's part of corrupt, the corrupt bullion bank industry. Those are his biggest clients, not just the bullion banks, but people like the IMF and the central banks. So he would say that. Lord Humongous says Jeff Christian is doing well in wig sales. Yeah. If countries nationalize their gold means or mines and sell as gold for dollars, stop LBMA COMEX. Yeah. Well, I think Ghana is thinking of doing that already. So they're not nationalizing the mines, but they're asking for yeah, they're asking for payment in gold for taxes and royalties. I think that's a good idea. Uh, Linky bio, more upside for the dollar index. Well, yeah, it did it did rebound Thursday and Friday, mainly because the pound got hit hard, and the pound is like I think the third currency in terms of weighting. The euro, of course, got hit a little bit as well. But as I've said in the past, yeah, the dollar index has corrected a lot, and that has helped gold since it hit 1615 back in November, I think. But in the end of the day, in the long term, the dollar index is a distraction. I, it started out at 100 back in 1973, and here we are, just above 100. Gold back then was $85, and it's now around 1900. And the same thing in the other currencies. So yeah, it's a bit of a distraction. Short term, it can affect the price of gold. Mario, do you think our country has any gold left? Well, we're supposed to have 300 tons. The UK Treasury. Gordon Brown, of course, sold half. He sold 300. So we used to have 600, and I think they do have the 300. But the thing about the UK is that the Bank of England, which is basically in the city of London, which technically is not the UK, they hold about 5,000 other tons for other countries. So there's an old saying about possession being 90% of the law. So, yeah, we've got quite a bit of gold here, but it's not ours. It belongs to other countries. But when push comes to shove, it would be really hard for people. Look at Venezuela. They asked for their gold back from the Bank of England, and we said no. Is that right? No, of course not. And for nations, it's the same thing. They need to be their own central bank, and they shouldn't leave their gold with the Bank of England. It's ridiculous. I still don't understand why so many countries leave their gold here. Okay, everyone. So I'm sorry about the beginning of the live stream. There was no volume and I had to restart, but I think it turned out well. And I think Rudy had a good time. We're going to go to bed soon. And he slept really well. He slept right through last night. So there you go. I wish you all a great rest of the weekend, or a great beginning to the week if you're in the Far East. If you're new to the channel here, make sure, if you enjoy what I talk about, to subscribe. And thank you again for your super chats and all your questions. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.